Formula One has always been a world of high stakes, massive egos, and razor-thin margins, both on the track and behind closed doors.
And that made me hungry, and it made me persevere. I think perseverance is probably the best way to describe.
These men push 200-mile-an-hour machines to the absolute edge every single weekend. So it probably should not surprise anyone that some of them live their personal lives the exact same way. No limits, no breaks, no apologies.
One mistake can prove costly, especially when the board is seemingly set against you.
From the original playboy of the grid who allegedly slept with over 5,000 women, to the reigning champion who took his teammate's girlfriend and his seat, Formula One's off-track scandals are every bit as wild as the racing itself. These are the F1 drivers who cross the line with other drivers' women. Max Verstappen. Let's start at the very top. And nobody sits at the top of Formula One right now like Max Verstappen. Multiple world champion, ruthless on the track, and apparently pretty ruthless off it too. The story here involves three people: Max Verstappen, Kelly Piquet, daughter of three-time world champion Nelson Piquet, and Russian former F1 driver Daniil Kvyat. And once you know the full picture, it reads like something straight out of a soap opera. Kelly Piquet began dating Daniil Kvyat in 2017, and their relationship lasted 2 years, during which they welcomed a daughter named Penelope, born in July 2019. So far, normal enough. But here is where it gets complicated. Kvyat and Verstappen had actually been on-track rivals at Red Bull, because in 2016, Red Bull made the devastating decision to demote Kvyat mid-season and promote the then 18-year-old Verstappen into the main team seat. That was already a brutal blow to the Russian's career and confidence.
If the bosses want something to happen, they just make it happen.
But fate was not finished with him yet. Kelly Piquet herself revealed that she and Verstappen had first met back in 2016 during a dinner in Monaco, at the very time she was still with Kvyat. She described a magical connection that evening, saying, "Max was friends with my brother Nelson, and we all went out for dinner in Monaco one night. There was already something magical that evening. Our connection started then." Think about that for a second. Kvyat's future girlfriend was sparking with his future career replacement at the very same time. The man did not stand a chance. In January 2021, Piquet and Verstappen went public with an Instagram post carrying the caption, "Love is what makes the world go round." Romantic, unless you were Daniil Kvyat, staring at your phone screen at a photo of the man who took your Red Bull seat now posing with the mother of your daughter. Sources at Business F1 magazine quoted Kvyat feeling that Verstappen had stolen his partner. Kvyat was reportedly furious, and honestly, you cannot blame him. The guy lost his job to Max, and then lost his girlfriend to Max. That is a level of getting outrun that no racing driver should ever have to experience. Now that Verstappen and Piquet share a second daughter named Lily together, it is clear that whatever happened in that Monaco dinner back in 2016 led to something very permanent. Convenient for Max, less so for Kvyat. Double world champion on the track, winner off it too. Talk about running away with the championship in every sense of the word. James Hunt. Here's where things get truly historic. Because before there was Max, before there was drama in the modern paddock, there was one man who set the absolute gold standard for off-track chaos. One man who redefined what it meant to live dangerously. That man was James Hunt. Hunt was the 1976 Formula One world champion. Blonde, impossibly good-looking, and genuinely incapable of behaving himself. He had a rivalry with Niki Lauda that became legendary, immortalized in the 2013 film Rush, where Chris Hemsworth played him. But no actor could ever fully capture what this man got up to off the circuit. A close friend of Hunt's once said, "He must have slept with at least 5,000 women during his 30-year career as an accomplished and prolific swordsman." Hunt died of a heart attack in 1993, aged just 45, and he liked to have minutes before races. That was not a joke. That was the man's actual preparation strategy. And now for where another driver's woman comes in. Hunt was married in 1974 to model Susie Miller, beautiful couple by all accounts. But Miller filed for divorce in 1976 to marry American actor Richard Burton. So Hunt's wife left him for someone else, a reversal of the usual story. And rather than sulking about it, Hunt simply accelerated, hard, while three-time world champion Jackie Stewart famously abstained from a full week before a motor race. Hunt would often have minutes before climbing into the cockpit. Minutes, not hours. Minutes. His team manager, Alistair Caldwell, described the scene ahead of the decisive 1976 Japanese Grand Prix at Fuji, where legend has it that the hotel Hunt was staying at served as a stop-off point for British Airways staff. Every morning there was a fresh supply of females, Caldwell reported. James would bounce up to them in his shorts and bare feet, say, "Hello, I'm James Hunt," and take them straight upstairs for a party. This happened every day for a fortnight. And then, after all of that, Hunt went out and won the 1976 World Championship, beating Niki Lauda by just 1 point.
I had to work very hard for the first half of the race. I thought Niki was very brave.
The man even had a patch on his racing overalls that read, "Breakfast of Champions." He was not hiding anything. When asked if he was a playboy in a 1976 interview, Hunt replied, define a playboy. I don't know. I like playing." That quote sums up the entire man perfectly. Formula One will never see anyone quite like James Hunt again. And honestly, the sport is probably better for it, but also significantly more boring. Charles Leclerc. Now, from the legend to the present. Charles Leclerc is Ferrari's prince, Monaco's favorite son, and as of early 2026, a newlywed. He married his girlfriend Alexandra Saint-Malo in a civil ceremony before the new season got underway. They had announced their engagement in late 2025, and by March 2026, they had married in a civil ceremony. Adorable, right? Except, the way Leclerc got to this point involves a story that the internet absolutely ran with. Charles Leclerc dated Charlotte Sainz for 3 years before their public mutual breakup in December 2022. But little did anyone know that the story was far from over. Here is where it gets messy. According to a gossip page, fans noticed that the first like Charles Leclerc gave to a post by his current girlfriend Alexandra was in November 2022, a time when he was still officially with Charlotte Sainz. The ex-couple only announced their breakup in December 2022, 1 month later. One crucial month. And the craziest part? What made things even more complicated was the fact that Saint-Malo and Sainz were actually friends, not acquaintances. Friends. The connection ran through Charlotte's sister, Valentine Sainz, who shared a close bond with Alexandra. So when the relationship between Leclerc and Alexandra began picking up speed in early 2023, spotted together at Paris Fashion Week in March, then at Monaco in May, Charlotte Sainz's sister reportedly unfollowed Alexandra Saint-Malo on social media. Yeah, that says everything without saying a word. Then in 2024, an anonymous post landed on the celebrity gossip page Du Mois, claiming that Leclerc was with a mystery woman in Australia while Alexandra was home in Monaco with their dog, Leo. Although the individual never provided any evidence, it did not matter for the internet, which flooded social media with reactions. Leclerc and Saint-Malo responded by showing up together in Saudi Arabia, ahead of that weekend's race. United front. End of conversation. Charles Leclerc officially announced his engagement to Alexandra Saint-Malo on November 2nd, 2025, and their dog Leo's collar reportedly read, "Dad wants to marry you." Genuinely charming, even if the road to get there was a little bit bumpy for at least one other person involved. Whether the timeline overlapped or not, the internet has never forgotten. And in Monaco, where everyone knows everyone, some friendships were clearly never the same. Sergio Perez. Speaking of awkward paddock dynamics, few stories from the modern era generated more genuine chaos than what happened to Sergio Perez after the 2022 Monaco Grand Prix. Checo had just won his first Monaco Grand Prix. Huge moment, iconic race, one of the most glamorous victories in all of motorsport. And how did he celebrate? Well, cameras were rolling, videos went viral, and the fallout was spectacular. After the stunning triumph, footage of Checo's celebration began to circulate on the internet, showing the Red Bull driver dancing and placing his hands around women who were not his wife, Carola Martinez. His wife, by the way, had just given birth to their third child 2 weeks earlier. 2 weeks! The videos spread everywhere. Checo was caught completely off guard. He posted a response on Instagram saying, "It was a bad party that I didn't know how to control at the height of the person that I am, but it was just that, a very bad party." He added, "People close to me know my values and the type of person that I am. For those who ask me, we are more united than ever, me and my wife." Talk about a groveling apology, but the story did not end there. Months later, the drama got a second act with a twist nobody saw coming, after Verstappen and Perez had a heated altercation at the 2022 Brazilian Grand Prix, where Verstappen refused to let Perez pass him despite having already wrapped up the championship. Perez hit back at his teammate publicly. He said Verstappen's behavior showed who he really is. And then, Verstappen's own mother, Sophie Kumpen, decided to defend her son by firing back at Perez in a now-deleted comment that read, "And then in the evening, cheating on his wife." She deleted it almost immediately, but the internet does not forget. The comment appeared to be a direct reference to Perez's Monaco celebration party. So there you have it. One party, one set of viral videos, one Monaco win, and a scandal that followed Sergio Perez for the rest of his Red Bull career. The fastest way to ruin a good victory lap? Apparently, take a few too many laps around the after party. Lewis Hamilton. If James Hunt was Formula One's original playboy, Lewis Hamilton is the sport's ultimate celebrity in the modern era. 7 world championships, a Hollywood social circle, a fashion presence at the Met Gala, and a dating history that reads like the guest list at a Grammy after-party. Hamilton's most significant long-term relationship was with Pussycat Dolls singer Nicole Scherzinger, and they were together on and off for over 7 years, from late 2007 to 2015. There were even engagement rumors throughout that time, but ultimately, it did not work out. After Nicole came a carousel of celebrity links and rumored connections that has never really stopped. In 2017, Hamilton was seen looking very cozy with model Winnie Harlow in Cannes and vacationing on a yacht off the coast of Monte Carlo. Then the Nicki Minaj chapter. Then Gigi Hadid sightings. Then Sophia Richie. Then in 2023, he was reportedly linked to Shakira. Yes, that Shakira. That year, Shakira cheered Lewis on at the F1 Grand Prix, and a source told people they were keeping things fun and flirty. And then in 2025, there were the Sofia Vergara lunch date photos. Hamilton was seen dining with actress Sofia Vergara in New York, with paparazzi describing the outing as cozy and flirty, though neither party confirmed the nature of their connection. But here is the angle that truly fits this video. His ex-girlfriend Veronica Valle, who dated him for 3 months back in 2015, went to the press in 2018 and made a series of very colorful claims. She said that Lewis was initially very sweet, but could lose his temper, describing a moment on his private jet where he went absolutely berserk because the pilot had used the toilet.
So we travel a lot, so I love cars and I love planes.
She said he screamed, "Everybody knows that they shouldn't take a crap on my plane." And then she went further, much further. She claimed that Hamilton was, in her words, obsessed with having threesomes, multiple women, at the same time. A man who races 2 cars side by side on a circuit every weekend apparently applies the same philosophy elsewhere. Hamilton himself addressed his priorities in a February interview, saying, "I'm hungry, driven, don't have a wife and kids. I'm focused on one thing, and that's winning." Whether that means winning championships or winning the after-party, Lewis Hamilton remains the most talked about off-track personality in the whole paddock, every year, without fail. Michael Schumacher and Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Now let's go back in time, back to the 1990s, when the Formula One paddock was a very different place. This story is one of the most quietly fascinating in the sport's history, and most casual fans have never heard it. Michael Schumacher, 7 world championships, the greatest driver of his era.
Michael Schumacher is going to move up into provisional pole position if he just keeps up this speed.
The man who redefined what it meant to be a Formula One champion. By 1995, he had already won his first 2 titles and was dominating the sport in a way nobody had seen since Ayrton Senna. But before all of that, before the Ferrari years, before the championships, before the global icon status, a young Michael Schumacher crossed paths with a woman named Corinna Betsch. As one publication put it at the time, the new Mrs. Schumacher clearly had a taste for German racing drivers. Before she started going out with Schumacher at the end of 1991, she had been Heinz-Harald Frentzen's girlfriend for 4.5 years. 4.5 years. Michael started going out with Corinna in November 1991. It is well known that before that, she was the girlfriend of another driver, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and Heinz and Michael were teammates at Mercedes in the Group C racing series. Teammates, they shared a garage, they shared the same paddock, and apparently they eventually shared the same woman. Frentzen was himself a hugely talented German driver who raced in Formula One from 1994 to 2003, winning 3 Grand Prix and finishing runner-up in the 1997 World Championship with Williams. This was not some nobody. This was one of the most gifted drivers on the grid. Now, to be fair, Frentzen himself said in an interview that Schumacher did not steal Corinna from him. "It was not something that Michael did," he said. "I think we were separated, she and me, before. So Frentzen himself cleared Schumacher of any wrongdoing. Gentleman move. But whether the timing was clean or not, the optics were undeniable. Two teammates, one woman, and one of the great love stories in motorsport history that began in circumstances that were at the very least complicated. Corinna and Michael married in Germany in August 1995, and the marriage has endured everything: championships, controversies, and tragedy. A love story forged in the paddock, even if it started in someone else's paddock. Kimi Räikkönen. But here's the thing, awkward romantic situations in F1 are not just a modern problem or a Schumacher-era problem. They go way back. And one of the most entertaining examples of a driver living completely by his own rules when it came to women was the man they called the Iceman, Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi was famous for saying as little as possible. He once stepped off the podium at a race to go to a boat party before the trophy presentation was even over. The man simply did not care what anyone thought, and his romantic life followed exactly the same philosophy. Kimi was first married to Jenny Dahlman in 2004. She was a Finnish model. They had been together for years, and by all accounts it seemed stable. But the marriage dissolved, and Kimi moved on. Then came the episode that raised eyebrows across the paddock. Kimi began dating Minttu Virtanen, whom he would later marry in 2016 and have 3 children with. But the timeline of how he met Minttu while his previous relationship was winding down became a topic of murmured conversation in paddock circles. Kimi being Kimi, he never explained anything, never addressed the rumors, and never even seemed aware that anyone had an opinion. When asked about his personal life in a press conference, he simply said, "I do what I want." That is the full quote. I do what I want. Rumor has it that the breakup of Kimi's first marriage was not entirely a clean split before new connections formed, though no one involved has ever confirmed or denied specifics. What is certain is that by the time Kimi won his 2007 World Championship with Ferrari, remarkably, on the very last lap of the very last race of the season in Brazil, his personal life was about as chaotic as that championship finale. The Iceman never explained himself. He never apologized. He simply showed up, won the championship, and then reportedly left the party early to go somewhere nobody could find him. And honestly, that is the most Kimi Räikkönen ending possible. Lando Norris. Now here is a story from the current generation, the 2025 Formula One World Champion, the most exciting driver in the sport right now, Lando Norris. Lando is loved by an enormous global fan base, funny, charismatic, genuinely brilliant behind the wheel, but his romantic life has created some genuinely messy tabloid moments over the past few years, including one that involved some extremely questionable timing. Cast your mind back to 2022. Lando had been dating Portuguese influencer Luisinha Oliveira for around 8 months. Then came the split. Norris split from Luisinha Oliveira in September 2022, and within days, before the ink was barely dry on that announcement, leaked messages appeared online. Text messages between Lando and Dutch model Randy Hartman had surfaced. He had been inviting her on a date to McDonald's. Hartman had asked him directly, "Do you have a girlfriend?" And Norris had replied, "I'm single now." When the messages went viral, Lando privately pleaded with the model, "Please delete them, haha," but that message also leaked. The internet had a field day. Sources close to Norris insisted to the press that he only messaged Hartman after ending things with Luisinha, but the timing was paper thin, and nobody entirely bought the explanation. Then came Margarida Corseiro, known as Maggie, a Portuguese actress and model with over 2 million Instagram followers. Lando dated Margarida Corseiro from roughly May 2023. They split, they rekindled, they became one of the most photographed couples in the paddock throughout the 2025 season, while Lando was chasing the championship. And then, in February 2026, ahead of pre-season testing in Bahrain, cameras caught an unguarded moment. Lando's old McLaren teammate, Carlos Sainz, asked him on camera, "Are you and Magui good?" Lando replied, "No," then admitted he was a single man. Sainz appeared shocked as they continued chatting, apparently unaware the cameras were rolling. The clip went absolutely viral. Fans were crying with laughter. And just like that, the 2025 world champion entered the 2026 season single, wealthy, 26 years old, and apparently available. Not everyone in the paddock loses sleep over the consequences of their romantic choices, and Lando Norris seems to navigate it all with a grin. Nicole Scherzinger, Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton crossover. Here is one more story that the internet has whispered about for years, and it connects two of Britain's most celebrated Formula One champions in a way that most fans never put together. Nicole Scherzinger, lead singer of the Pussycat Dolls, one of the most recognizable women in pop music, and the long-term girlfriend of Lewis Hamilton from 2007 to 2015. What many casual fans do not know is that during those on and off years with Hamilton, there were periods of separation, and during one of those periods, rumor has it that Nicole found herself in the orbit of another member of the British racing establishment. Jenson Button, the 2009 Formula One world champion and Hamilton's teammate at McLaren from 2010, was famously known for his charming personality and his close-knit social circle within the sport. Button had his own complicated romantic history, including a widely discussed relationship with Japanese model Jessica Michibata, whom he famously credited with helping him win the championship after imposing a self-imposed ban from sleeping with her in 2009. He then married her in 2014, only for the couple to split within a year. The whispers in the paddock during the early 2010s, and this is very much in the category of rumor, paddock gossip that was never confirmed by either party, were that during one of Lewis and Nicole's many separations, there was some flirtation, some late-night interactions at events between Nicole and figures within Lewis's professional circle. Nothing was ever proven. Nobody ever confirmed it, and both Hamilton and Button have always maintained they are on good terms. But consider the dynamic. Two world champions sharing a garage, sharing the same social events, the same sponsor obligations, the same paddock for 4 years. One of them with a global pop star girlfriend they kept breaking up and getting back together with. The ingredients were all there. What happened in those off-seasons? Only the people involved truly know. Hamilton himself, asked about his breakup with Nicole, simply said the reason they ended things was because she wanted to get married and he was not ready. Nothing about anyone else. Clean, composed. Very Lewis Hamilton. Formula One moves fast, on the track and apparently off it too. Whether it is Verstappen taking everything Kvyat had, Hunt treating every pit stop as an opportunity of a different kind, or Leclerc navigating a very awkward Monaco friendship group, this paddock never stays boring for long. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Grid Rivals so you don't miss the next ones.